The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. Is anyone out there?
Another salesperson enduring the endless search. Exhausting. If you want to get right to the right conversations, you need LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Whether you're looking for new leads or strengthening existing relationships at your top accounts, get right to the right conversations with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Try LinkedIn Sales Navigator now with a free 60-day trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial.
Terms and conditions apply!
Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
Achtung Millwall podcast supports the Lions Food Hub, dear listeners, and you can do too by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt from noonelikes.co.uk, also known as Nolu Clothing. They've got a wonderful Achtung Millwall t-shirt on there for £15. At least £8 of each sale goes to support the Lions Food Hub, which does fantastic work for families in and around the South East 16 area. Show your allegiances on the podcast front, dear listeners, by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt, and by doing that, you'll support the wonderful, the brilliant Lions Food Hub. Noonelikes.co.uk, Achtung Millwall t-shirt, £15. Check it out.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to Achtung Millwall. My name is Nick Hart, and I've got some news for you. The dream is realistically over after today's 4-1 shellacking at Ewood Park. Blackburn 4, Millwall 1. I watched it on TV. More real wall. I've got my Andover's correspondent, John Shipman, who was actually there. Well done, John. Bit of a rough watch. The second half I thought was a pretty tough grind in the end. But as we were just saying off air, I think it's more that we've run out of petrol, run out of gas, whatever metaphor you want. Really.
Yeah, evening, Nick, and evening all. I think that's very true. Looked at the team sheet before the game. Yeah. Losing Jensen and Roberts was quite a new one. I had to look at a picture of the young lad Evans to recognise who he was. To be honest, Nick, I hadn't seen him before.
No,
today,
it's his debut, isn't it, today?
Yeah, and I think he did well. First half, as much as you can judge it on that, I don't particularly blame him for any of the goals. He was thrown in at the deep end. I don't think he would have expected to play this season, in all honesty.
No.
Thrown in at the deep end, then I don't think he did a lot wrong. I just hope conceding 4 goals doesn't scar him, and I hope that doesn't turn out to be the sort of beginning and the end of his Millwall career. I hope he goes on and trains on a little bit from here. But
100%.
Yeah, I just think that sort of thing, the lack of a right back.
No Joe Bryan,
came to a head, really, didn't it?
No Joe Bryan this afternoon, who's been playing very well of late. We've got this makeshift defence. Obviously, you've mentioned George Evans in goal, making his debut, listeners. Back line of Ryan Leonard playing in left back position, Jake Cooper and Tristan Kramer. Kramer is a quality turn in my opinion, John. But then Wes Harding in right back, and we just looked a bit rattled, didn't we? Very open start to the game. Mitchell, I didn't finish the starting 11. Mitchell and Dino in midfield, Aziz, Honeyman, and Ivanovic and Coburn up front. no Jensen, no Bryan, as we've said. It was a very open start to the game, John. I mean, shots galore inside the first 6 minutes. I've got for evenly spread, chance upon chance for both sides. It was a very strange open game. I know we needed the win, but we looked very open and very, shaky defensively, I thought, through the whole game, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was a couple of moments I thought, Nick, where certainly Ivanovic, there was one chance stuck in my mind, was Ivanovic went through and he almost tried to play it across the keeper in the hope of someone following up at the far post.
Yeah.
When it looked for all the world like a shot would have made all the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're a team, Nick, where it makes a huge difference if we go one up rather than one down. One up, you almost fancy us to hold on. But it wasn't to be. It didn't turn out to be that sort of game, did it? And I don't want to point figures at Ivanovic because I think he's done ever so well this season. I think he's done a very, very good job. I think he's training on superbly.
Yeah, scored a good goal
scored
today.
The consolation.
Yeah, absolutely. Pulled us level late, but there were. I suppose the thing anyone that didn't see today's game might think 4-1. Certainly, the second half was a bit of a thumping, but it was an open game. There were chances for both sides. I thought in moments, and I emphasise moments, we actually looked pretty good in the first half. We certainly created opportunities. You've mentioned that Ivanovic chance where maybe a shot. I think he was trying to play it wide, but nothing quite worked. Through the game. But we had headers on goal, and a volley from George Honeyman I see here that was well saved. So the first goal was probably always going to be the crucial one, and they got that, didn't they? On 40 minutes, close range header, which is coming back to poor defending again for me, John. That opening one was a bit of a gutter, wasn't it? On 40 minutes after going so close.
Yeah, I'm reluctant. I'm hesitant to say poor defending. There's a couple of results this season, Nick. There's Plymouth away, and then today, where we've taken a little bit of a shoe-in and conceded a few goals.
Yeah.
Take them two out of the equation. It hasn't happened much this season, so I struggle to knock the defence too much. When you look at the table, we haven't scored that many goals. I think we're averaging about a goal a game, something like that. So the defence have obviously done superbly well to get us in this position this season.
Yep.
So I wouldn't knock them. But today they were a little bit shaky. Now, were they a little bit shaky because they didn't have a regular voice behind them in goal? Because their right back was playing left back, because their left back was at home and they were playing Wes Harding in the right back. There was a few different bits, and Tanganga out as well.
No Tanganga.
Underestimate that. So there's reasons, there's excuses, but fundamentally, I think the injuries just came to a bit of a head, and we ran out of a little bit of steam, and that led to one or two errors. I think it's kind of accepted wisdom that Cooper doesn't do quite so well when he hasn't got a leader alongside him, be that Hutch, be that Tanganga.
Yeah.
I'm hoping Tristan Kramer may be that player in the future, because I've been very, very impressed with Tristan Kramer over the last few weeks. So maybe there's joy there to be had in future.
Yeah, I mean, Kramer I thought played very well. Again, if I had to pick, it wasn't the kind of game where you could really pick an easy man to the match, but I thought Kramer, for me, just for his overall contribution. And the fact he looks so elegant in his defensive work. But I don't think he's, as you've just put it there, he's not a kind of a fire in the belly leader. I think he demonstrates it more by example, perhaps. And I think Jake just does respond well. He's played very well with Jeff Tanganga this season, and that's that was missing. Maybe missing for the remainder of the season now while they're getting healthy. Good equaliser though. I mean, this is the strange thing. It was an open first half and chances at both ends. Both sides could have scored more, but we did well. There was a flowing move down the left and a beautiful crossing from Femi Aziz, and a really top quality back flick. I think it was Jake Coburn who kind of backheeled it and fired in by Ivanovic. It was a really nice equaliser, John. I must admit, I had sudden high hopes in that moment.
Yeah, and probably not misplaced. I've enjoyed the last few weeks, Nick, playing two up front against accepted wisdom. Everyone's playing a one up top at the minute, and Alex Neil sort of, I think we mentioned this last time we spoke actually, that I think it was the Preston game. He threw two up front, and it was sort of the start of this, playing Coburn and Ivanovic. Why choose if they can both defend from the front and stick them both on there?
Yeah.
And there's real sort of signs of an understanding coming there. Femi Aziz is a touch of quality, touch of class.
Very much.
We'll always get some good deliveries in. So Attacking wise, I think we're actually in a decent spot as things stand at the minute. Whether we can get hold of Coburn at the end of the season on a permanent, or whether we have to sort of cast the net again, remains to be seen. But I definitely think there's something there in having two up top and getting after teams. It wasn't to be today, admittedly, but we've seen it work in other games. So, yeah, I think all the elements were there in the equaliser. Decent wing work, decent wing play, combination up top to stick it in the back of the net. So, green shoots there, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Nice flying move. And as I just said, listeners, my hopes were briefly raised at one each. That was a really nice score, score by Ivanovic. Only for those hopes to be dashed, John. I bet yours too. A few moments later, it was actually I'm kind of ping pong defending, I suppose you'd call it, in inside our box. But it was a nice shot and took a deflection. Actually, I don't know if that was visible inside the ground. Certainly, with the benefit of the replay, it took a flick off of Kramer's arm. I think it was a huge pointless debate on the Sky TV commentary about whether that goal should have been disallowed for a penalty, which I thought was the most pointless thing I've listened to in a long time. But it deflected and just took it away from the reach of George Evans. I mean, one thing I would say, we've mentioned Evans already, John. I don't think he could be blamed for any of the goals, really. I mean, these were all fairly strong finishes, good strikes from a decent looking Blackburn side. So I don't think he can hold himself responsible. But to go in 2-1, having done so well to claw our way back into a game, felt like a bit of a kick in the nuts. And then we compounded that straight after, coming out for the second half with we missed a chance, didn't we? Coburn had a beautiful cross, and I think it was just above his head slightly. Kind of got underneath it. An open header, which was a big moment. But then they went 3-1 up. A breakdown and right side goal fired in from a tight angle. Nice finish. Questioning on the commentary as to whether Evans could have done better, but I think you'd have to be Gordon Banks in his pomp to have got a hand on that, because most goalkeepers would have been beaten by that strike. It was a beautiful finish, in fairness to the Blackburn lad. I think that was game over really at that point, 3-1.
It's the classic good time to score, isn't it? We've been beneficiaries of SSLs this season. We've had a few late ones, but they scored one just before half time and one just as you come out for the second half. So sort of 5 minutes either side of half time, and it's very hard to come back from that. I think that second goal really took the wind out the side's sails, and
deflated.
I think that's when the tiredness caught up with them, and they looked a little bit leggy and devoid of ideas. And it's one of them, isn't it? I remember speaking with yourself and a friend after the Preston game, and it felt like this was going to be a mid-table season. No real danger in the playoffs, and sort of play it out to the end of the season and see what we can learn. And actually, we've got ourselves in a position with 3 on the spin where we gave ourselves an outside chance of the playoffs. And it's hard to feel too deflated tonight when that hasn't quite happened, because I think the realists in all of us were saying, well, it's unlikely. Now it looks very, very unlikely, but it's hard to feel too deflated, because it's clearly been a very good second half of the season to even put ourselves in that position in the first place.
Well, we're certainly talking about a top half finish for the season, which was usually a target maybe at the start. I mean, we potentially top 10 finish. I know we've still got 3 games to go, but and it's not mathematically impossible, but we've got to be realistic now, listeners. But I think for us to be finishing this, top 10, possibly 8th or 9th, if results and wins go our way, is a massive achievement. And we've sung the praises of Alex Neil a few times, and this wasn't a great day. Certainly wasn't a great second half, I think, John. I think that when the game was over at 3-1, if it wasn't over already, the nails are being hammered in our coffin, metaphorically, at 4-1, 58 minutes. That was that awful pass out. I think that was just mental tiredness by Jake Cooper and the things you touched on, because we didn't really we didn't show any danger at all across the whole second half, apart from that early chance for Coburn and a late moment where Marku was put through a bit of way beyond saving then. But if we do finish, I mean, there's always this thing, I think, with Mill, I think possibly younger fans forget that historically that, if we finish 9th where we are at the moment, that's a historic high. Millwall does not historically finish in these positions. We're actually doing very, very well. We're playing outside of our skins at the moment. So I know it's no consolation, John, but it remains a fact. So we'll see. I mean, I think the season's now into that kind of dead rubber zone, though. It's just we might get to see one or two of the youngsters. That might be interesting for the last 3 games. I think that's the way to use this.
Absolutely, yeah, I think so. You've got to use the last 3 games to experiment a little bit, and if we're honest with ourselves, injuries may dictate that anyway. There's a few reportedly playing with knocks. What's the point? Don't risk them now. Take them out until the summer. Give them a full pre-season and see where they get to.
And an interesting summer to come with choices as to who stays and who goes. Hopefully, it's a return to health for one or two of our signings that we've made that we haven't even seen yet. Benny Baker and some of the others we're yet to see in a Millwall shirt. So I think there's a lot to be looking forward to. But it does. Today was just a game too far. I think, John's probably the best way I can sum it up, mate.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I tell you what, I'm going into the next season as positive and hopeful as I've done about a new season for some time.
Right.
Even if we don't do much in the summer, the January window looks to have given us attacking options that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
Potentially, we'll have to replace a couple.
Yeah.
And there's some obvious places where we need a bit of quality. I'd argue central midfield, we need something to go alongside the Nuri. But I'm really quite positive about how things are shaping up. I'm very taken with Alex Neil. I think we've got
I agree.
a sensible head in charge there.
And a very honest summary from him, which basically said much of what we've said to each other. And I'm sure fans across the the Millwall world that watched today were saying to each other, he doesn't shirk away from, he's an honest in his approach. And I think I like that. He responds well, I think, to the Millwall kind of scene in that way. So, no, I'm very happy. It's going to be an interesting summertime to come. And we were just talking before we started the review of the game, which was a disappointment, but we talk about the off-field stuff. The facilities that the club have laid on the Coldblow Lane in particular, John. I mean, it's this is an advance and an improvement on everything that we've seen at the Den since it was constructed. Really, I mean, the amount of bars and food outlets and facilities generally is to be applauded. I personally like the way the club is going at the moment.
Yeah, I think this all lends to my positive feeling about the club at the minute. It all just seems to be being run quite sensibly. So the business we did in January, and why am I surprised? But the business we did in January was about bringing in a lot of sort of 24-year-old type players ready to go into the side.
Yeah.
But also a bunch of young late teens, early 20s players like AJ Matthews, like Benny Baker that you've mentioned, who can sort of step up should we lose any of them. So the recruitment side seems to be well thought through.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anyone in the club or any supporters of the club who haven't sort of said, well, why don't we make a bit more? It's a captive audience, unless you're prepared to walk a mile, there's not a pub really nearby.
No.
So why don't we make more use of the back of the Coldblow?
And Harry's bar.
Some bits and bobs in.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's being done now. You can get some would say it's a bit expensive and all the rest of it, and perhaps even a little artificial. But the fact of the matter is I turn up at 1:30 on a Saturday afternoon now, and there are people milling around, spending money, putting money into the club, and not spending that money in pubs a couple of miles away, and spending that money for the club. So that's got to increase the revenue and got to improve our financial fair play and all the rest of it situation. So
absolutely,
it just feels like we're being really quite sensibly run at the minute, and long may it continue.
100%, John. I share that view. Today is a bit deflating, listeners. The wing of the prayer run had to come to an end sometime, and it probably was always going to come at some northern outpost like Blackburn. We've got to go to Burnley yet before the season finishes, so it was probably always going to come to a thump in the teeth at some stage, and today was that moment. But if you take a step back in a cold light day, I think the club is being set on a fair course at the moment, and that's good to report. Who did you vote for in the Player of the Season, by the way, John? How did you cast your vote?
I went Casper Denori, Nick.
Oh, did you?
I think he's been. Okay. Yeah, I think he's been very, very good this season.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
He's a strange one. I suspect the intention with him was to be another Zian Fleming, to give him a season with us and maybe
Sell
sell
on.
him on
Yeah,
at a profit.
yeah, yeah.
And he's never quite hit that heights to be talked about, I
No,
don't think,
no.
around other clubs. So the longer we retain him, the better, I think. But I think he's had his best season with us. I think a lot of the midfield work rate has come from him.
Yeah.
Increasingly, a number of chances have come from him. And he's kind of made that position his own. He's probably first name on the team sheet in midfield. So, yeah, I've gone for him.
Okay.
Very close, second place to Tanganga.
Tanganga and Denor were probably the two front runners.
Yeah,
I think.
you struggle to split those two, I think.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Nick?
I went for Tanganga, but it was a way up between Tanganga, Denor, who we've just mentioned, and possibly even Joe Bryan, because I think as an improved player, I think certainly across the course of the season, he's really come a long way. But Denor, I think, is one of those under the radar players that you just as you just put it. It was quite interesting today listening to the Sky Red Button service. They often use, I think, local commentary teams. So they had, I don't know, A&R for commentating, but like a generic Northern ex-player, and I don't know who this guy was, but it was all very Blackburn focused because I think that's their knowledge base. But they were talking about Ivanovic. How there was some, rumours of £10 million valuations going on. Who knows? But it's interesting to hear the views of people who aren't Millwall fans talking about, Ivanovic, who's come through a bit of a journey this season, for want of a cliche. Come a long way, and he's now scoring goals. Got a good one today, and suddenly he'll become part of the. He'll go onto the radar, the transfer radar. So I suppose at some point we may start to weigh up decisions on maybe Denor, maybe Ivanovic, if we're going to keep on with this, sell to rebuy kind of policy. That's going to be an interesting storyline over there. Whether this year is the time to sell him or, after another season, I don't know. But he was certainly being spoken about, and it was quite interesting to listen to it. So I wouldn't put him in player of the season quite yet, but he's much improved, John, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't think he's far away from player of the season. Certainly, second half of the season.
Yeah.
He's been very good. I think there's a real talent now, and it's the model suggests we'll sell him in the next 18 months.
Yeah.
Whether and it's a bit of a twist or stick, isn't it? Do you sell him this summer for maybe 10 million, or the way I see it, I reckon there's a 20-goal championship player in there next season potentially. And then do you sell him for twice that at the end of next season when his 20 goals have maybe contributed to a playoff run?
This was, the ex-player type, whoever he was. I don't know his name, listeners, but that was his kind of point. Do you hold on to him, work on with him? It's clearly forming a partnership with Coburn. We remains to be seen whether Coburn will stay, and there's others that he can work with at the club. And that will add to his value. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting just to listen to completely non-Millwall voices talking about Ivanovic in those terms, and I'm sure that is going to be on the agenda of a lot of clubs if he continues on this path. Certainly, I think he must be our top scorer now, isn't he? He must be,
I think
6 or 7 goals. I don't know how many he's got now, but he's certainly going to be, he's going to be attracting attention.
I will say, Nick, it's not a decision I'd want to have to make.
No, glad I don't make this decision.
Yeah, absolutely. All things being equal, you keep him for another 12 months, he'll score 20 goals and he's doubled his value.
Well, notice Fleming scored for Burnley today. I mean, he's a goal that maybe secures automatic promotion to the Premier League, So there's the value.
But the alternative is, do you keep them that bit too long? And there's no guarantee that these players won't pick up a cruciate ligament or something, and suddenly the value disintegrates.
And look how beige Fleming became when he had the first interest of Burnley, and then we had a season where he wasn't anywhere close to the talent that we first saw. So you've got to, there's always a tendency in life, I think, to look at what you could have had rather than take it whilst you can. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision. That's very true, John. We'll see, mate. I want to say a big thank you to you, John. Saturday night, Friday night. Good Friday night coming on here. We actually managed to speak for 22 minutes when we wondered at the start of the conversation, listeners, whether we get past 5 minutes. So big thank you. Our Northern correspondent, John Shipman. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Very welcome, mate.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Acura's all-new ADX, a compact SUV that isn't just built for one thing, it's precision crafted for everything. To escape the grind with available all-wheel drive. To go with your flow with available Google built-in.
Hey Google, turn it up.
Okay, turning up the volume.
And crafted to be heard with an available Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. The all-new Acura ADX, crafted to match your energy. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Take your vibes and go, 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 go.
Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
So good, so good, so good.
Great gifts for mom? We've got them. And they're up to 60% off at Nordstrom Rack stores now.
You know they have Marc Jacobs?
Gotta show mom some love.
That is so good.
Snag amazing deals on Mother's Day gifts from Barefoot Dreams, Kate Spade New York, and more. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
Achtung, Millwall.
Hello. Hi, Nick. It's Martin Colwell here. Just giving you my thoughts after the Blackburn match. I didn't go. I struggled to drive that far now with my back and my hip. But watching TV, I was worried when I saw the lineup and particularly the defensive structure. And it proved a justifiable issue for me because despite all of the team not playing well and no one really achieving much more than 6 out, I was worried about the new goalkeeper and players playing out of position. I think we struggled with command at the back, although Blackburn played well. I think Jake Cooper is not really a leader and he struggled to galvanise the troops at the back. I also think it's a worry when we lack goals from midfield. We've got tacklers in now and they don't contribute goals to the team at all. And so I think that's an issue for the recruitment team to perhaps ship out, say, 3 of those players and bring in some midfield players who can not only be creative but find the net. I think it leaves us in a difficult position now, what with the other results as well. And all we can do now is give it a go against Norwich, which should be an interesting game because I think that they've got goals in them despite them struggling this season and losing 5-3 at home to Portsmouth today. But they've got 2 of the 3 top goal scorers in the division, I think. Not really much more to say than that. Blackburn deserved to win, and it was probably a fair scoreline. They had much more attacking players with much more ability than us today. But we'll give it a go against Norwich. A bit worried again about putting that defence out. Also for the goalkeeper, who really didn't have much help from his defenders in terms of stopping the goals. And also, Norwich have got 2 of the 3 high scorers in the division now, so we should see a few goals on Monday, I think. Hopefully, we can pull it off. I think even if we do, it's too late because of the other results that went against us today. But hopefully, a miracle can happen. Thanks, Nick. Bye for now.
Hello, Nick. Aussie Dave here. After that Blackburn game, I only describe as anticlimactic. Oh, a long way to go. What a shame. Well, I've had 4 games, had 3 great wins, but it was not to be. But really loved my time here in the UK and watching the boys. about the game. Obviously, we all know third choice goalkeeper, and importantly, Bryant not playing, and even more importantly, disrupting the back four by having Leonard on the left and Harding on the right. And I think they probably put Leonard on the left to deal with that tricky winger Dolan, but he looked a bit tired, dear old Leonard, and I thought Harding had probably his worst game in the rare games he has played. So all a bit disruptive. I think the other problem was obviously we had to go virtually 4-4-2. That left us just two in midfield. We didn't have the midfield support of a number 10, and we played very open today. We had to go for the win, and Blackburn took advantage of that and had oceans of space almost from the beginning. So I don't. You can't really blame anybody. As soon as you saw the lineup, you thought it was going to be a tricky day. Whereas if we had the team we thought would play, we were pretty confident. So, Nick, it was great to meet you. Great to see quite a few other Millwall supporters. And back home to sunny Oz. Come on, you Lions.
Hello, Nick. It's Barnes here. Not sent a message in for a while. But just to report on today's game. It was very disappointing, wasn't it? We really was on a bit of a crest of a wave and thinking, this could be it. But unfortunately, I think we come up short today, big time. And I think defensively, we wasn't, losing your goalkeeper, before the game was a big blow. And, the guys have been used to Jensen being behind them. And, I think there's no fault to, Evans when he came in. I think he did okay. But I think there's that sort of understanding of where they're going to be, where he's going to be. And, it's hard. It's hard to work on someone who's not there week in, week out. But, obviously we had Leonard go into the left back, not his natural position, but the guy can play anywhere. Obviously Harding coming in, looked very rusty. And I think it showed today. I think it's a bit of a game too far. And I think that, the legs and the players were tired, what they've done this week. And I don't think we can be too critical. It's frustrating, yes. But I think where we've come and where it was last year, I think we've really, the players got to be applauded. And I think we shouldn't be too, it's frustrating, but I think we really shouldn't be too unhappy about, where we are. And, we've got something to sort of hold on to. We still have, but it's kind of, that result really sort of like kicking the bollocks, as we would say. But I don't think anyone was, unfortunately, Cooper probably didn't have his best game today. But, we've got to look at the whole season, not just one game. And I think I think defensively we were all over the shop and we got done down the flanks many a times today. And they just wanted it more. They looked composed on the ball and they just looked quicker to every single ball. And I think we just got to look for the last three games. Maybe if we had a bigger squad, we could bring players in. But I really think that Alex Neil was there going, do you know what? We let this one go and we go to the next game. But if I think there's a few players that are absolutely shattered, bless them. And it's not just one game you lose. I think you got to look over a season. I think we've got to be proud of the boys of what they've done this year and where we are, considering we were last year, still staring down a barrel somewhat. But disappointing, but massive kudos to the guys that went up there today and supported their team. And they've got to travel back after thrashing. There hasn't been too many in the season, have we? Obviously, Plymouth comes to mind, but we've been in every game we played. And yes, it's frustrating, but if we look over a season, we do need more quality in. And I think down those flanks today, you could tell Ali Aziz really give us that sort of pace. Honeyman's a good little player, but out wide didn't really do anything. He's fantastic at stopping plays from the other team and holding things up. But he's not going to beat two players down that wing and cross a ball in, is he? But I think the turning point will probably be Coburn's chance. He sort of went up, didn't he, second half, and the ball got crossed over to a great little ball in for Aziz, and he went up too early, didn't he? Completely lost it, and maybe put that away, it might have been different. But another goal from the Serb, fantastic. It's been a great signing. It really has, and I think there's a lot of plus points for this season, and we go again next year. And I think just really sort of push on, and we've got some good little players there, and I think the players should be applauded in there, and so should the staff the club. I think Alex Neil's done a fantastic job. But it hurts now, but I think overall we've had a really good season. It's not over yet. There's still more games to play. But, today was a bit of a come down after the last few games, but we shouldn't be too disappointed. All right, mate, you take care. Sorry, Nick, one more thing. I need to say this. We missed Brian today. And I never thought I'd say this, but he's been so good under Alex Neil, and I think we really missed him today. And I'm going to hold my hands up. Not a massive fan beginning of the season, but we really missed him today. And I just wanted to point it out that I thought he was a massive player that we lost today. And time to say I was wrong.
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, look, in Alex Neil's post-match interview, he said that we didn't get enough pressure on the ball, we didn't win enough second balls, and we made too many bad decisions. That just about sums it up. It's the proverbial run out of steam, isn't it? We've run out of steam this season now. And talking of steam, Casper Denor off the boil yet again today, and that creates a huge hole in midfield. When you have a 46-game season and you are chasing the games because you have to concede 70% in possession, it takes its toll. There were some good moments. The best moment was that great team goal with Billy leading the charge from midfield. But our fullbacks costed us a bit and couldn't stop those crosses coming in. Hardly provided enough protection for a rookie teenage goalkeeper. Alex Neil was pacing up and down that touchline, and he also appeared to be in deep thought when going over to applaud our magnificent travelling fans. And I'm sure he can see how bright the future could be if he continues to get the backing from the board. And Alex will make wise decisions as a coach without being as emotionally involved as Bomber was. So just a few other observations from Good Friday's game, Nick. I thought the Blackburn coach, their staff, his staff, their directors, their fans, I just thought they looked a miserable load of bastards. And also in a match where we needed more composure, Sky TV showed Idemo getting up from his injury with his arse hanging out his shorts. Oh, Blackburn Rovers, eh? Such a bogey team for Millwall. And to think those tinsmiths 140 summers ago who formed our football team named us Millwall Rovers because of the successful Blackburn Rovers who had just won the FA Cup at the Oval for the second successive year. Anyway, we've got another bogey team coming up next. But in all honesty, I think it'll be good now to get some minutes from some of the youngsters in these last three games. Come on, you Lions. Keep it on the island wall.
Hello, Nick. It's Hassan here. Nearly home from today's match at Blackburn. I think myself, like a lot of other people, after the result against Middlesbrough, had a renewed sense of belief that we could maybe mount a playoff charge. And after the game, we rushed to the ticket office and bought tickets for Blackburn away. So, it was a bit of a painful day just getting back home now. But to be honest with you, on the drive up here, I was chatting with the boys in the car, and we underestimated Blackburn in a sense. We were under the belief that they had nothing to play for. Their club was in turmoil. They want their owners out. They've been pretty poor in the league recently. So I thought, you know what, maybe we can do something today. I'll be honest with you, as soon as I saw the team lineup, I think we were fighting a losing battle before even a ball was kicked. I mean, what rotten luck, for Alex Neil in this team. We've worked so hard of late to get into this great position, to lose two first-team goalkeepers, to have the right back playing left back, and the guy who played right back not really play a lot of football as a whole. It was just disastrous from the get-go. And what we found out after the game was the likes of Casper has barely kicked the ball all week. Brian injured, couldn't make the squad. Jensen injured. It was just a bad day all round, isn't it? As I said before, the ball was even kicked. I mean, young George Evans was in goal. I don't think it's at fault for any of the goals. I mean, two of them were right in front of us, and it was just bad defending. I mean, we went 1-0 down. We've done well to get a goal back. I think Mihailo scored. And the second goal looked very sloppy. And after that, I mean, we get to the half time, and we thought, right, let's keep it tight. I think Copeland had a good chance, and they went up and made it 3-1. And Cooper decides to pass the ball to them for no fucking apparent reason. But as a whole today, that a lot of players just wasn't on song. A lot of players they just looked tired, they looked worn out, and I think it was a step too far today. I mean, right across the board, Honeyman was in and out of the game, didn't really influence it much. Cooper was, let's say, a bad moment there. Harding struggled on that right-hand side. I mean, I can't give him too much criticism because he's no right back. He don't really play a lot. But he really struggled today. Leonard had a hard time on the left. They had a lot of tricky players, Blackburn. I don't know whether we made them look good or they are good, but they knocked it around well. Todd Cantwell, as much as he's an annoying little fucker he is, he when he wasn't diving on the floor and throwing himself on the ground looking for free kicks, he controlled the midfield really well. I think their number 10, Dolan, he ran rings around some of our players today. As I said, they're just a step too far. A lot of those players, they look tired, leggy, and that's that really. But I think some people think still might be an outside chance of getting in there, but I think we're done now for the season. Let's try and beat Norwich and Swansea, win our last 2 home games, and then finish off at Burnley and look forward towards next season. But it was fun while it lasted, and despite a long trip, I'm looking at the trip count, and I'm looking at 485 miles round trip. So it was a long day, but it's another ground ticked off the list, and I think I'm feeling positive going into next season at the very least. Oh, one other thing, referee was absolutely abysmal today. Probably worse than the referee we had against Borough at home. Fucking awful. He couldn't wait to give fouls to Blackburn. They were throwing themselves on the ground every opportunity they got, and the referee fell for it. Absolutely awful referee. But otherwise, we move on. All the best, Nick. Bye-bye.
Hello, Nick. Bill Slack. Fucking hell. It's my birthday today, and I was genuinely hoping that the boys would do something special today, but in the full expectation that they wouldn't. I'm in my mid-50s now, and I've been going down there too many years to get my hopes up, but I did. Yeah, we weren't great. You could go over all sorts of things today, couldn't you? You know, the fact that we never had a fit first team goalkeeper, that we had a 19-year-old in goal who absolutely did his best. I think that the one thing that is going to hold George Evans back is the one thing he can't do anything about, and that's his height. I'm not sure he's quite big enough to be a top flight keeper. But that being said, I absolutely hope he does, and he doesn't take too much out today, because the back four in front of him was absolutely abysmal, absolutely dreadful, and really didn't help him out at all. You could ask, what the hell's going on with our injuries. You could get into conspiracy theories about Calmont Road or our training methods, but we've always suffered a load of injuries, and we've had different managers with different training techniques. So I don't know. It just seems that half of the January signings that turned up have never been seen again. They're crocked. Bangura Williams, I don't know if he got injured when he was away with England. We've not seen him since. We haven't got a fit left back. Haven't got a fit goalkeeper. It's just fizzled out, and it's just fizzled out right at the end. But I think given time, if we all look at the season as a whole, you have to say that a mid-table finish for us with a sniff at the playoffs with 4 to go is actually just an incredible achievement. To win 3 games in a week and beat the teams that we did was just fantastic. And although I'm disappointed, although I would like the excitement for another week or two, it's just one of them things. It's the life of a Millwall supporter. Something I said this many voicemails ago. Millwall supporters, and probably 93% of the teams that start a championship season know that they're not going to be champions, and they know that they're not going to go up automatically because of the way that football's structured now, because of the parachute payments, the millions and millions and millions of pounds that other teams in our division can spend on players, but not, probably more importantly, pay players. So we are always punching, and we always will. You know, we've spent more money than we ever have in our history in January, and I think Negley, 3 million quid, let's say 4 million quid is our record signing in our history, which is an incredible amount of money for the Burrison families to pull out. But it is peanuts in the football world. So we have to be more than the sum of our parts, not just players, not just manager, not just the chairman, but the supporters as well. Something incredibly special has to happen. Some special circumstances all have to come together at once for us to get in them playoffs, and we haven't managed it for 9 years in the Championship. Maybe next year is the year. Maybe Negley hits the ground running. Bangura Williams really hits the heights. We've really signed a player in Mihailo. You know, there's some really decent players there. Billy Mitchell is beginning to look like a proper midfield player at Championship level. Dinor, Tanganga's going to go, but we've got Crammer in there as well. Joe Bryan, I don't know if we'll sign him again, but if he has a full season like he did the second half of this season, you know, we've got a lot to be optimistic about. It's just that you know, that lack of money, and we go into every season up against it, is what I'm saying, and we just have to get behind them, have as positive a finish as we can. But my overriding feeling for the season is I'm genuinely proud of what they've achieved. There's been so much adversity gone on this year, and that team have come through it, and that team have shown over many weeks that they'll put everything on the line for this club and this shirt and us fans. So yeah, disappointed, but proud as well. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, Nick.
Nick Bobbitt here. Look, I'm sorry for all the voice notes, and I'm just passionate, and I just can't give you any answer. Achtung Millwall, been a great season, but you know what it comes down to? So near, but so yet so far, or whatever you want to call it. So far, so near. We smell the playoffs. Blackburn was a must-win today, and I don't know if we didn't turn up, or the goalkeeper, the rookie, this, academy players, Joe Bryan out. We've got 3 games left. Let's just give it the Lions' heart that we have and just get the maximum, 9 points or 6 points, 2 home wins, and that's it. Finish probably 7th, maybe. Not good enough on the games we've done. Love Millwall. Alex knew we've had a great season, and we roll on to next season. It's just the way we didn't give up. We never give up. But I keep on saying, Achtung Millwall, Nick Hart, Bobby T. Oh, the fucking ventilator aircon in Harrods. 4-1 is slightly a slap in the face, embarrassing, because Blackburn was shit all season. I'm going to sign off now. Love you all. Bobby T signing off. Millwall will come again next season playoffs. Alex Neil with a new team, because today we got fucked. Bye for now. Nick Hart, Bobby T, Achtung Millwall. I'm all calm in my tea break, and I'll just be honest with you. Millwall are cursed. Jensen, Joe Bryan, foot injury, whatever. The FA, the Premier League, no one wants Millwall in the Premiership, so they come up with this excuse. We're cursed. Jensen, the goal today, Bryan, that was like happening. We're winning the game. But 4-1, something's dodgy going on in the FA. You don't want Millwall in the Premiership. That's what I'm saying, and I'm fucking fuming. Good night, and I'm gone for the season.
Hi Nick, Glenn here. So yeah, I think that Blackburn game really showed us where we are as a team. You know, capable of beating a great team one week and then the next week, falling pretty far down in the rankings. truth be told, I think going forward we looked all right. Our midfield were battling and actually dominating the game for large periods of the game. I thought another excellent performance from Billy Mitchell. I just felt, unfortunately, at the back from the moment of kickoff, we just looked quite jittery and we looked like we were capable of making mistakes. And yeah, unfortunately, that proved to be the case. And maybe that's a reflection of the players and their experience at this level. And that's why I think really promotion this season is a season too soon. And I understand. You take promotion when you can get it. You don't pick and choose. But I think this squad is not ready for a promotion push, and it won't be our choice. I mean, we'll fall short of the playoffs. I'm pretty certain of that. But not a bad season all in all. We've started to rebuild the squad, which was much needed, and we've now got an infrastructure around the manager and his coaching team that looks really good. And we've got the right man, I think, in the manager as well. I think he's a good player. Again, another performance from Amaku that failed to impress, in my opinion. He wasn't on for long, but I don't think he did much. I think Coburn and Ivanovic are a developing partnership that I think next season will be pretty good. Excuse my washing machine. But yeah, I think defensively, we showed that we have some shortages there in the squad, and obviously the young goalkeeper, I didn't feel was being very well protected in that first half, and the defence, whether that's because they were conscious of it, of trying to protect him, and ironically as a result did a bad job of it. It certainly seemed to me that they didn't do a very good job of protecting him from long distance shots and players running through them. So I would just put this down to this is where we're at the moment as a club, as a squad. Not a disaster by any means. We could have easily gotten something out of that game. That scoreline definitely flatters Blackburn, but maybe the sort of slap of realism that we needed to recognise where we are right now. Anyway, let's enjoy the rest of the season. 3 games left to go, and we can enjoy it. And Alex Neil can use it to give some players some time and try out some systems. Come on, you Lions.
Yeah, I thought the whole thing was a bit of a disaster, and I don't think that Alex Neil had a lot of choice, to be honest. What with Joe Bryan out and Jensen out, obviously in retrospect, Ryan Leonard was absolutely annihilated all afternoon. Jake Cooper didn't have one of his finest games, to be honest. And you felt sorry for the young lad in goal, to be honest, because he didn't have a lot of chance with any of those. But I don't think Millwall ever really got going. And Blackburn came out with a plan, and they attacked us from the get-go. And frankly, I think we were lucky to get away with 4. But there you go. That's our season gone. It might be an idea to play some of the youngsters now, see what they've got, see if they got anything about them. But I think now it's going to be a case of getting everybody, try and get them all fit and prepare for next season. So there you go, Millwall. We've had a fairly good season. I think we can be pleased with where we're going to finish up. It looks like we'll get top half and roll on next season. Come on, you Lions.
Morning, Nick. David Liederkramer here, speaking to you after the 4-1 defeat by Blackburn Rovers on Friday afternoon. Obviously, the end of our playoff hopes in rather spectacular and typical Millwall fashion. I was shocked, like everybody else was, at the fact that we didn't have Jensen in goal and Roberts wasn't available as backup. I'd like to talk about that in a bit more detail in a few moments. And we had to give George Evans his debut, a 19-year-old who hadn't had a single league appearance. In fact, I looked through the records. I think he's only ever played 1 game for Sutton United against Wealdstone, so it's quite an ask for him. I thought he did okay, a bit nervous at first, but the goals really weren't his fault, and they were just as a result of some very, very sloppy defending, particularly the goal that Cooper gave away, the short pass out to him. Alex Neil was clearly annoyed about that at the in his post match, and that was the end really of our hopes. I was disappointed with Cooper in that sense. He should really sort of know better, but he's had a reasonably good season, I think, all in all, and so one bad game doesn't make him a bad season for him. The other point I wanted to make was Liam Roberts' position in the club. He apparently is injured. I wonder whether that is in fact the case. His treatment by the media as a result of what happened in the Palace game was disgraceful. Yes, of course, he made a terrible mistake, and yes, he was punished for it. But there have been lots of other similar incidents which have gone unnoticed. But being Millwall, of course, the media, and in particular the Daily Mail, need to sort of jump on it. I feel really sorry for him and his family. I have a feeling he won't play for us again, mainly because I think he'll just need to have a break and get to another club. But I really do feel sorry for him. When he came in, particularly in the Portsmouth away match, he did really, really well. And I'm sorry that if he doesn't play again, that will be the end of his Millwall career. The other thing I wanted to mention was Ivanovic, who I thought obviously took his goal well, now scored 9, and including one penalty, but clearly is a player for the future. And I say that because of two things. Firstly, he's winning a lot more headers and knockdowns than he did when he first came to us. So he's getting the idea of timing his jumps, timing his runs better. Secondly, he scores a whole variety of goals. So it's not just one sort of poacher type goal. He can score goals from practically all angles and areas, as he's shown for us this season. And I think, given his age and the fact that it's his first season abroad, I think he's done amazingly well. And I think we really do have a really good player on our hands. If he stays with us for a season, I think we can get some very, very big money for him at the end of next season, assuming he keeps healthy and continues to score in the way that he has done up until now. The season is sort of petering out, but I never expected us to get to the playoffs, not realistically. I think we had a 9% chance as per the bookies, and I think that was a realistic one. It was always going to be a big ask, and we needed other teams to not to win, which of course they did anyway yesterday. So it was always going to be a very difficult ask for us. But I think on balance, we've had a really good season since Alex Neil's come in. He's brought a lot of intensity to the team, and I think next season could be really interesting if we get rid of a few who clearly are sort of not really quite up to the standard at the moment, or they've gone their ages are catching up with them, and we bring in a few others who will hopefully make the squad even more competitive. Finally, it's on to Norwich on Monday. They got thumped 5-3 at home by Portsmouth. We got turned over 4-1, so it should be quite an entertaining game. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just hope that the team turn up, do themselves proud, and hopefully do well in front of what I suspect will be quite a big crowd. Anyway, I hope everyone's enjoying or will enjoy their Easter weekend, and come on, you Lions.
Morning, Nick. Jim Hackett. Just a couple of thoughts about yesterday's game. Obviously, the side that he put out, I think, told us straight away it was going to be a struggle. And then I've got a feeling that Leonard going to left back, Wes coming in at right back, and obviously Evans in goal. It was just a step too far for everybody there, and they were so disjointed, throughout the game. I know Lenny had half a decent game when it comes to the tackling that, but he gave away too many free kicks on the left side. Harding, I have to say, for all the times that he's been sort of lauded for being such a good player, I thought yesterday it was absolutely woeful. And then he put Cooper into that, and unfortunately, that was a poor back four performance after we've had a really steady back four and looked so strong. And then the goalkeeper, for me, he just looked like a lad who'd been thrown in. There wasn't a lot of confidence in him because, why would there be? He's never experienced anything like the stress he must have felt yesterday or the day before, and you can't imagine him sleeping too well knowing he's going to play in such a big game. And then during the game, the goals, you can argue that possibly Jensen would have got one or two of them, just for the quick saves that he pulls off. But you can't blame George Evans for anything there. It was a baptism of fire in the sort of harshest sort of way for him. But hopefully he'll learn from that. And if we haven't got goalkeepers for the rest of the season, we've got 3 games. It might be good to have George Evans playing them 3 games if the other 2 are not available, and just let him take his chance, and maybe get that experience that may come in handy for us later on. He can always go out on loan to a League 2 or Conference League club, next season, but give him those sort of opportunities and see what he does do. The midfield, again, we had our chances, didn't we? We created the chances. Casper, Billy, Femi, all did their bit. George Honeyman was busy and doing what he does, but the chances we created, we should have scored, and by missing them, we took our foot off, if you like, Blackburn's throat, because they cut us open, with our poor defending. It was like 2 poor defenders against 2 half-decent midfields and attacks. So we got caught out with the goals that they scored. We didn't punish them for the chances that we had. And I think the biggest miss of the whole game for me was the Coburn one at the beginning of the second half. It was the one moment that would have changed the game and got us going forward again. And unfortunately, whatever it was, it looked like a fantastic ball from Femi, and whatever happened, Coburn just sort of didn't get there or didn't react in time. I don't know, but then a minute later we're 3-1 down, and that was the biggest kick in the nuts, I think, for everybody. But I'm not going to moan about the players now. It was a long shot, getting into the playoffs. Now I'm quite glad that we're not going to get in the playoffs, and we can put that bit to bed. The only thing that sort of gets me a little bit twitchy is everybody's going on about next season, and how we're going to be so dangerous. We're going to get injuries next season. We've got to hope it's not the main players, if you like, that get injured. And we've got to hope that they do buy in some decent players over the summer, which I'm sure, looking at the recruitment this year, it's not been too bad. But if we can get 3 or 4 sort of top Millwall players in over the close season, then I think next season we can have a go. But the way our squad is and the brittleness of it really doesn't augur well with what we've got. But let's hope Alex Neil puts it all right in the summer. But for me, this is where we're going. Everything is now on for next season, and get to the end of the season, we'll see where we go. So I've now got to go and answer the door. All right, thanks very much, and come on, you Lions.
Achtung, Millwall.
Huge thanks to everybody for their contributions to this show. Really packed it in, listeners, and time's slightly against me, so I've certainly crowbarred everything that I've received into this show. So a big thank you to every single contributor. If you want to join our merry little band, and we've had a few new voices on this show, as you would have heard, do get in touch with me via Twitter at achtungmillwall. We can exchange mobile numbers, dead easy. You just WhatsApp your voicemail, post-match WhatsApp me. And you're more than welcome to join the merry little gang of Achtung Mill contributors. All of our profits go to charity. We contribute to the Lions Food Hub, so every contribution that you make, every listen that people give us out there in the internet land helps to generate money for a great cause. I want to say thank you to each and every one for their contributions today, and to you too, dear listeners, for for tuning in. Now, I just wanted to close, if I may, with a short tribute to one of our previous panellists back when the podcast first started, Don Bone. Many of you might be aware that Don sadly passed away this week after a very recently announced diagnosis of cancer, terminal cancer, and he sadly passed away this week. I wrote a short tribute online which went on the House of Fun. I just wanted to repeat that now, if I may, if you'll indulge me, as my personal tribute to Don. The news of Don's passing will have come as a huge shock to his many friends around the Millwall scene, and my thoughts are with his family, especially Nick, his son. I first got to know Don via the House of Fun back in the early days of the website. I was used to be known as the Archbishop on the House of Fun. And Don, and more often his brother, another legendary online figure known as the pot-bellied gladiator, would flay me alive for any woke views that I might express on their website. That Millwall humour was something that I very much wanted to try and capture when I edited the Nolu and then CBL fanzines. Then in time onto this particular podcast too. Don was a mainstay columnist for CBL magazine and a regular roundtable panellist when I started doing Achtung, which is a long while ago now, back in 2013. Back in those pre-Zoom call days, we'd have to physically meet up to record the conversations, often at the Mizzen Foundation Cafe in Hither Green Lane. Don would regularly have us in stitches with his tales of following the Lions in the 1970s, all whilst trying to swear not too loudly, especially if Margaret Mizzen was in the next room organising a homework club or something similar. Those early recordings are still online, and I hope that in time they might provide some fond memories for Don's family, especially when the time feels right. When the news broke of his major health issues recently, I was thankful that I was able to message him via Twitter, and he sent me a fantastic reply. I'm in awe of his bravery in the face of such a diagnosis. Don will be missed by us all. May he rest in peace.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.